Dragi prijatelji u Kristu, dragi naši smokvaši, vidjeli ste sada ovih 40 dana kroz korizmu da smo vas pozivali stalno da se uključite i molitveno, ali konkretno da dođete pred bolnice i da se pridružite projektu 40 dana za život. Jako nam je bilo stalo do toga i željeli smo i mi pod Smokvom biti dio toga i biti dio te borbe za život. I to je ono što je danas jedna od presudnih borbi sigurno, je boriti se za život. I nekako smo razmišljali o tome, nismo htjeli samo stati na tome, nego ajmo napraviti nešto više, nešto što će zaokružiti tu našu borbu tih 40 dana. I tako smo došli na ideju i čuli smo da nam dolaze u goste jedna zanimljiva kongregacija, jedna nova kongregacija koja je rođena u Americi. I za sada kuće su im prisutne tamo ponajviše, kod nas ne postoje, ali one se zovu Sestre života, i ovi prijevod na naš hrvatski, a u stvari Sisters of Life. I danas imamo veliku čast, evo, da će i ona biti ovdje s nama i poznat ćemo 3 njihove sestre. One će malo pričati o sebi, pričat će nam o toj kongregaciji, kako je ona nastala, pričat će malo i o karizmi, pričat će nam malo i o nekim konkretnim događajima koji žive i jednom posebno, evo, jednoj molitvi koja je nastala, koju je napisala jedna njihova sestra i koja je ovako jedna baš onako specifična molitva, pa ćemo mi nju danas prikazati. So, dear sisters, welcome to Croatia, to this our city Zagreb. I've told our listeners that we wanted to present your congregation to us because we don't know it here in Croatia. It's not known because you were born, as I think, in New York, but maybe you can tell us more about the congregation and charism. Maybe for the beginning, charism. What is your charism?
Yeah, and I think it's helpful too, Father, just to say, just to explain a little bit about a charism, like that a religious community, every religious community has a charism, and it's literally God's Spirit, Jesus' Spirit, being poured out onto the world through a community for 2 reasons, to build up the church and to meet a particular need of our time. And so as Sisters of Life, our charism is the charism of life, the idea that life itself is under attack, and what a need there is to really kind of meet in our culture the attack that's on the human person, the dignity, the sanctity of human life. So we say that as Sisters of Life, we exist to proclaim to the whole world and to every individual that you are good, that you are known, loved, chosen, wanted by God. And that your life has this infinite meaning, dignity, value, and the culture tells us, as we all know, right, that your value and your worth are dependent on what you can do, or how you look, or what you achieve or accomplish, and that's and that's sort of a lie that we all fall into. And so, as Sisters of Life, we exist again to proclaim, the truth of the goodness of every individual, that God chooses, loves, knows, wants everyone.
Where was this desire for life, this love for life? Where was it born?
Yeah. So it was entrusted and born in the heart of, given to our founder, Cardinal John O'Connor, who was Archbishop of New York when he founded us. And he had many experiences throughout his life of the goodness and value of life and the importance of people knowing that they are loved and willed and chosen. And one time particularly, he was visiting Dachau, and he went into the concentration camp to pay his respects to those who had died there. And he walked into one of the barracks, and he placed his hand in one of the crematoria ovens. And he says that he experienced this mystical experience, if you will, where he could feel the intermingled ashes of Jew, Christian, priest, rabbi, woman, man, and child. And from the depths of his being, he cried out, "Good God, how can human beings do this to human beings?" And he made this vow to God that he would do anything to protect life, those most vulnerable. And for Cardinal O'Connor, it wasn't specifically just about abortion or euthanasia, but he said that there was this contempt for human life, as Sister Virginia Joya just showed. And after years of prayer, he was praying with Mark chapter 9, where Jesus' disciples could not cast out the demon. Then Jesus cast out the demon, and they asked, Lord, why could we not cast out this demon? You know the story. And Jesus says, this type of demon can only be cast out through prayer and fasting. And that for him, that was this moment of this demon of the contempt for human life can only be cast out through prayer and fasting. And so after years of more prayer, he felt that this could be given to the world through a maternal heart, through a mother's love, through consecrated women religious. So in 1991, the Sisters of Life were founded.
And today, there are sisters in just America or some other places?
So we're mostly in the United States, and we're also in Toronto. We, as Sisters of Life, we take a fourth vow to protect and enhance the sacredness of human life. So our missions are all fueled by prayer. That's our biggest work, you know.
Maybe you can say something like, how is your day, a day in a life of Sister of a Life?
I think one thing is that all of our prayer does flow, all of our work flows from our prayer. And so what ends up after, you know, we do spend 4 hours a day in prayer, but then we also have,
That's the calling for our smokvashi, we call them, under the fig, the one that come here. 4 hours of prayer. Yeah. So maybe we can do a little, just 1 hour is going to be good.
Start slow.
Start slow.
But so just it flows from our prayer, and we're so privileged in the mission, especially that I've been in for a few years, that I'm so privileged to be able to meet with heroic women every day. So we serve about 700 women who are mostly those who come to us are pregnant and don't know what to do. And for example, there's one story that comes to mind of a woman who, she was in her final year. She was a senior in high school and just about to graduate. And she found herself pregnant after a party, didn't know what to do, told the father of the baby, and he said, you know, just get an abortion, I don't want anything to do with you, type of a response. And she weighs the options, realizing her dad's in jail, her mom can't make ends meet. How can she bring this baby into the world? She chooses, through, you know, talking to her friends, to go to Planned Parenthood, and there she is in Planned Parenthood, praying to God, give me a sign. What should I be doing? You know, and she's in there, and there's a big brochure rack, and somehow, we still don't know how, one of our brochures was inside. Somebody had discarded it, I think, inside. And so she picked up, out of all these brochures, ours, and was able to read it, and, you know, really felt drawn by the words inside, and kind of made a beeline to our convent. And when we opened the door, she told us where she was coming from, and we were taken aback, like, gosh, we don't usually get referrals from Planned Parenthood. How are you doing? You know, and our normal stance is to just, let's have a cup of tea together. You know, so we talk everything over. She talks about her dreams, her hopes, her desires. I think we talked a lot about making cookies that day, just her desire to make cookies and be a mom. And she really, really flourished. And in the end, she had the baby. She also finished her high school, then college degree. She's such a success. And just the whole stance, though, was I think, which is every woman, her heart really did not want the abortion. And when you say, if everything were different, what would you do? If you had a job, if you had school, if you had a place to live, what would you do? They always say they would give life to their child.
Yeah, because I think that our Lord wants life, and that is something that we have in our hearts, because we are created from Him, so we have this desire for life. It is something that it's our struggle today. Okay, but it usually starts with a cup of tea, or how does it usually start?
Yeah? Cardinal O'Connor would always say, or he said, you know, the Sisters of Life will love, they will love, they will love. And that, what you said, that Jesus is the Lord of life and everyone desires life, but sometimes people don't even know that because they've been so wounded by the culture of death. And so our work, is to connect them with, practical resources and material support, but really to love each woman so that she sees herself as good and loved and capable of love. And so it elicits in freedom a response of love. And so that's what is so beautiful, because love ushers love.
Yeah, well, how can we find too, how can you receive the gift of life if you haven't first received the gift of your own life? So reverence and respect for this life you carry within you begins with reverence for yourself, and then obviously the trail goes back to the Creator. The creature doesn't make sense without the Creator.
It's the second command. To love your neighbor as you love yourself. So you have to love yourself.
Yeah.
And there's something that you have in your community. It's called Litany of Trust. It's written by the Sisters of Life, says this. But it's the one sister specialist, Sister Maria Faustina Pia. And I read it, I prayed it, and it's beautiful, because we are going to try to put it in comments so people can read them in English and in Croatian also, because I wanted to translate them to give it to the people to pray it. So and for you when you pray it, because first I've asked you, is it prayed in a congregation? You said no, but we pray it personally, individually.
Yeah.
Maybe for you, for maybe some example, how is it for you to pray it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's one part in there about leaning on Jesus, with the childlike trust, and that's our mission. It's the Lord's mission. So many times a woman will come to us and we don't actually know what to say, but the Lord, leaning on Him, depending on Him. So I think that for me particularly resonates in my heart, like that this is the Lord's work, and I am his vessel in it, to depend on Him entirely. It's
a beautiful examination of conscience of trust, like an examine of trust, and just to really throw myself into trust, because it's so tempting not to trust, unfortunately, but it's so helpful to have this reminder that can be often that I'll examine my trust.
Yeah, and I think too, when Sister Faustina wrote it, I know one of the things that always struck her, right? The image, the Divine Mercy image that Christ revealed to Saint Faustina, and He said to put at the bottom, "Jesus, I trust in you." He could have said anything. He could have said, make it say, "Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I obey you. Jesus, I'll follow you." But that Christ Himself chose that word, trust. And so it's like every aspect of the litany is, we're desperate for, we need,
Sometimes I say there is a difference with believe in God and believe God.
Right, there is. That's it. Yeah, that's
the
it.
Trust, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe some message to our viewers, our smokvaši, from you, from Sisters of Life.
Oh my goodness, you are loved, you are good, your love will transform the world, really, every encounter, every, so.
Yes, you were made in the image and likeness of God, unrepeatable and irreplaceable.
Okay.
They took all the best answers. No, I think the desire that each of us know that we're known, loved, chosen, and wanted,
Okay.
And that God has a plan for your love.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. God, amen to that. Bog zaista ima plan za vas. Zaista ima plan za tvoj život, i kao što su sestre rekle, idemo se pouzdati u njega. Bog nas ljubi. To znamo jako dobro i to želimo stalno sebi ponavljati, da nas Bog ljubi i da ima plan za nas.
To je tvoj život.